It's the top 10 iPad apps for 2013, at least my top 10, next on iPad 365. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here. Welcome to iPad 365, the show where we look at apps to keep your iPad a-play. How you doing? Happy 2013. I hope you had a great holiday weekend. Of course, the new year is just coming up, just a couple days away. Of course, if you're watching this after the new year, then it was a couple days away, something like that. Anyway, I scour the net for a lot of different apps, iPad apps, for the show iPad 365. I find a lot of cool apps. I find a lot of apps that, not so cool. And then I find those ones that I keep on my iPad. And that's what we're going to go through today. In 2013, I used a lot of apps, and I am going to show you these apps that actually got to stay on my iPad in the last 365 days. In fact, I remember when I showed my iPad to somebody, they said, wow, you have a lot of apps on your iPad. And it's very true. At any given time, I've got about 40 to 50 apps that I either am using or reviewing or whatnot. I am really happy to put all these apps on. I'm really happy to do this show for you. I'm glad that you're part of this show, so thank you very much for coming to the show. Of course, you can contact me over at iPad 365. That's the Twitter handle. Show at iPad-365.com is the email address if you want to suggest an app or you got an accessory for the iPad that you want me to take a look at. Let's get into the top 10 here, and we're going to start with number 10. It was the number 1 app on the App Store, and it makes my top 10 list. The app is called Duolingo, and simply put, it is an application that'll help you learn another language. Do you want to learn French, Spanish, German, whatnot? That's what Duolingo is all about. You finish each lesson without losing a heart. Of course, once you lose your heart, you've got to wait a little while, and then you come back later and do the lesson again until you are done. And then you can earn achievements. We've got the link to the video on Duolingo over at iPad-365.com. And of course, all the links to the actual first looks at those apps are going to be over at iPad-365.com. So number 10, it was the number 1 app on the iTunes Store. It is Duolingo. Jennifer loves it. We've been learning German, and I'm not even going to try and do any German right now because I don't think I'm ready for that. Duolingo, it's in the App Store now. All right, number 9 is simply GarageBand. I use GarageBand all the time. In fact, when I go on a plane ride or anywhere that I have to travel that I'm not driving or anything like that, I will pull out GarageBand and I will actually make a brand new song. In fact, this was a song I made on my last trip when I was going to Detroit only a couple of weeks ago. It is our CES 2014 theme music, which of course I'm going out to the Consumer Electronics Show, and you can check that all out. The intro is done by me, and you'll see the intro in those videos, of course. But I always try to make a brand new song. The best part about GarageBand is that iCloud connectivity. Now I can send it up to iCloud, bring it back down on my Mac, where I can add even more sounds, because there's no orchestra sounds on here. There's no harp, there's no extra drum sets, there's no extra keyboards. I can take it over to my Mac and continue on, change the sounds a little bit more, and make it to what I really want it to be. And that is what's really cool about this one. Once again, it's called GarageBand for iOS 7. It's got a lot of cool features, and it's available now. I do not go a day without this one. This is Flipboard. And I remember when I first pulled it up and started using it, it was amazing. It still is amazing. In fact, when I got my Android phone, one of the first apps I put on the Android phone was Flipboard. I check my mail, I check my social networks, I go to Flipboard to find out the news. Simple as that. You can customize, you can create searches, and it's a great way to get the news that you need. Like for instance, I can go to technology right now and I can find out about Fitbit, Google Chromebooks, first look at Sketchfab, an ode to crowded planet sharing, an article about Google Glass, so on and so forth. And I just have to flip my finger and swipe it to the next page. Flipboard is my number 8 pick for the top 10 apps of 2013. Next up is Heyday by Supercell. Jennifer loves those farming games, and when I put this on, I was thinking, oh, it's another farming game, but you know, I've got to go in here every now and then and farm a little bit, and I do have to admit, I get a little bit hooked on this game. Basically, what you're doing is you're creating a farm, you're getting animals, you're getting plants, you're creating items, like for instance, we got some cakes and pies up here in the top corner, and then of course I fill up the boat with the cargo so it can ship out in the next 13 hours and go from there. It's a lot of fun. There's fishing modes, there's planting modes, there's farming modes, there's even places you can blow things up. That's pretty cool. And that's why it made my number 7 hit. It's called Heyday. It's by Supercell. The next 2 apps are for all you podcasters out there. The first one is creating a podcast, and this is an app called BossJock. It is a great app. It's a soundboard app, and it's a podcast app. So if I don't use it to create podcasts, I can put all my sound effects on here, and then it's a soundboard. So I can have a simple Zoiks. Let me turn on the sound here. So I get all my effects, and
Zoiks!
And
Farfadnugan.
And
Denmark.
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 Denmark, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I could put in intros and outros and stuff like that. And of course, I can hit this record button, and if I have a microphone hooked up to it, I can actually create my own podcast. It's called BossJock. It makes podcasting very portable, as all you need is a microphone from here. And it's available now. Next up is Stitcher Radio. It's a great way for me to get my podcast, because the podcast app on Apple, on iTunes, horrible. I do not like it whatsoever. So I come to Stitcher because 2 reasons. One is because it has all the podcasts I want, audio podcasts that is, and 2 is it remembers my stations. I can set up a favorite station, and now that I have the Android phone, I can call up Stitcher there, and I've got my favorites right there, and I can call it up on my computer, PC or Mac, and I can get those over there as well. Stitcher Internet Radio has been on my devices for the last 3 years, and it'll continue to be on my devices in years to come. Next up is an iPad app that I put on just this year that's been around for a couple years now, but now with iOS 7 and the iCloud integration, Keynote has gotten better and better. And the best part is I can create something on my Mac, I can move it over to my iPad and present. In fact, I did a Google Glass speech at a university, and I used Keynote for that. And I used Keynote on the Mac, but I could move it over to my iPad and use it that way. I can even pull it up on a PC through the iCloud and run my presentation there. So it's very versatile, very useful in creating those presentations that you need to use a lot and bring over. It's Keynote, and it is my number 4 spot in the top 10 list. Number 3 is not as much of an app, although it is an app. It's the Google Chrome browser. Now, I've never been a fan of the Safari browser that comes with iOS. In fact, if it was to disappear tomorrow, I'd be happy. Google Chrome browser does a lot. And the biggest thing that it does is, like I said, with all these other apps, it syncs between machines. I can have it set up on the iPad. I can move over to my Mac. It talks back and forth. It loads up the preferences that I want. I can even go over to my Android phone and load up Google Chrome and get those same preferences. I don't have to re-enter a whole bunch of stuff. It doesn't have to relearn anything. It's just there, and that's the cool thing. And I can type in easily iPad 365. There it is right there. And I can get to iPad 365 just like that. iPad-365.com, that is. Next up is an app that I love, and once again, it's another syncing app. It's called Dropbox. And basically what I can do, I have Dropbox set up on my PCs, on my Macs, and my iPad, and of course my Android device. So I can create files, I can put them into Dropbox, and then I can turn around on other devices and call them up when needed. In fact, in a lot of video editing, it's perfect because then I can keep a folder on the Dropbox, and then I just have to reference to that folder. It downloads files onto the PC or Mac, and as opposed to pulling them from a cloud area, so I always have all the files even if I don't have the internet connection. Putting it onto the iPad means I can put on pictures, audio files, video files, and connect via Dropbox right here and get all my files, all my pictures, whatever I need to get right on my iPad. It's called Dropbox and it's available now. Next up, the #1 app on iPad 365's top 10 list. All right, like I said, I have a lot of apps. In fact, you're looking at my front page for my iPad. We go to page 2, we've got more apps, we've got more apps, and we've got more apps. I got about 6 pages worth of apps that I've either reviewed or need to review in the future here. So out of all these apps, there's one app that I use a lot. There's one app I use for business. They've actually been a sponsor of the show, and I really appreciate their sponsorship with the show. We continue to work with them. They are there not because of the sponsorship. They are there because they are a great app. And the ability, when they had the ability to actually do it on the iPad, be part of the program on the iPad, I was excited. When they took it so you could actually do almost full control through the iPad, it was one of the best things. This app that I'm talking about is for all you business people out there. It's called GoToMeeting by Citrix. It's got HD faces. I can connect up a meeting to you and other people, up to, I believe, 15 people at a time. And I can even start a meeting on my iPad. So if I'm in a place where I have an internet connection, but I can't pull out my laptop, then I can pull out GoToMeeting. In fact, we just had a meeting earlier today, and one of the participants was using their iPad to get to the meeting because they were sitting in their car. And that's the best part, the versatility of actually going and getting meetings done. And of course, you can record these meetings, so if other people are not there, they can watch it at a later time. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. You can even turn this into a podcast if you wanted to. It's GoToMeeting by Citrix. It's not free, but with their monthly service fee or the yearly service fee, which you can pay, you can get some high quality meetings done, get business done, and get on with life. And that's what I love about it. And that's why it is #1, because I use it so much, not only on my iPad, but also on my desktop, also on my Mac, and wherever I go, there it is. GoToMeeting #1. And that is my top 10 list for 2013. All right, I do have some honorable mentions, including this one, the LED board, which happens to show up every single end of show here. And of course, I play a couple games, Clash of Clans and Snoopy Street Fair. Those are two of the big games that I play on my iPad. For business apps, I also use iMovie, I also use Evernote, and Prezi, which is another great presentation app that you can create presentations on your PC and put them onto your iPad to view out for the people. The only reason why the Keynote's better than Prezi is because of the fact you can actually do your editing of Keynote on the iPad, whereas Prezi, you're just viewing it and presenting it to other people. Once again, this is my top 10 list. This was not iTunes' top 10 list or Apple's top 10 list, but this was my top 10 list of iPad apps that I use on my iPad. What are the top 10 iPad apps that you use on your iPad? I'd love to know. You can Twitter me over at iPad365. You can also email me at show@ipad-365.com. show@ipad-365.com. All right, well, 2013 does come to the end. We thank you very much for being a part of iPad 365. Couple show notes, just so you know. I go out to CES at the beginning of January, so we're going to take a couple weeks off from episodes of iPad 365. When I come back, I might just show you a couple apps from CES 2014, which is really exciting. Also, when we come back, we'll change everything up. We'll have a slightly different look. And of course, as you can see, the monitor is switched over here. We're working on new ways to make the show better, faster, cooler for you. If you've got an app idea, feel free to Twitter me, feel free to email me, and we will get that on the next episodes. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening to the audio version. Until next time, you guys geek out and take care. Next up is Heyday by Supercell. Jennifer loves these farming games, and she asked me to put a crash. Wow. It crashed. Crash, don't do it. When you want to suck to it, don't crash, don't do it.